You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey y'all, welcome to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 38, and I am your co-host Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram. And with me as usual is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards and John, who is Trade You at Recess on IG. Now, off the top, I actually wanted to talk about this in our last episode, but we ran out of time. So let's lead with it in this episode. And that's the news last week or the week before that eBay is now offering an authenticity guarantee for raw trading cards valued at least $750 US or more. So what that looks like practically, I believe, is that if a trading card worth more than $750 is sold on eBay, whether it's a bin offer or on auction, the card has to get sent to eBay where they authenticate it using the grading company CSG to do so. Then if it checks out, the card is then sent from eBay to the buyer. This only applies to non-auto, non-patch raw cards. And the service is currently only being offered for buyers and sellers in the continental US. So that doesn't apply to us as Canadian eBayers, but I know we have a lot of American podcast listeners who will definitely be impacted by this. So what do you guys think in general? Do you like the move, or is it an unnecessary step that just delays the shipping time of cards?
I think it's kind of crazy, to be honest. Like, I think just adding a step in the process to authenticate. I've been buying raw cards over $750 for the last 2-3 years with no issues. So there's that. But it's not to say that I get the idea, right? Like, I get why they did it. So I guess I'm not against
why?
it. What's that?
Why do you think it's the main reason why they're doing it? Just to give people assurance?
Yeah, I think just assurance, but I don't think it was well thought of, because I just feel like there's so much gray area in that area. For instance, we're talking about a $750 card. What happens to 5-figure raw cards? Like, we're talking the same breath of $750 as $10,000 cards. And I have a little tidbit about that, the reason why I bring up amounts and why they're important. But I'll let you guys kind of I guess talk about what your thoughts are on it. But I just think it's interesting. It's always fun to see kind of all these moves that these big companies make, because obviously they're trying to do it with intention, but execution is another story, right? So I get the intention, but I'm scared a little bit of the execution, that the right people aren't handling the cards properly. I'll say that.
Right. Got it. John, what do you think?
Do you guys know how much it costs to use this service?
No, it's I believe it's
do they
part
take
of,
like an extra cut, or is it just
it's just a service that eBay's providing on all raw
just
cards,
free,
just a guarantee.
like a free
yeah,
service?
So it'll basically on raw cards it'll say guaranteed authenticity on the post. Like the eBay guarantees it. And what happens is essentially the card is sent out to Florida, I believe, and then it's authenticated by CSG, and then eBay sends it out from there directly to the winning bidder of the auction or whatever, right? So, and then it's basically I was actually interested in the packaging. I think that's the biggest question, because I think people are having issues, and I'm saying red flags all over the place, because just to give you an example, there's 2 examples where the users, the buyers, were very unhappy with the packaging. And when I say that, it comes with in a small thin box, and you guys could see it. We'll link a video, but the package is really like flat. Like, I'm like, you're shipping you're shipping a raw card, and that thing's gonna get mangled. That's my first thought. So anyways, the reason why I talk about high graded raw cards, because there was a very, very rare Ken Griffey Jr. that closed on auction for $33,000. Okay, there's only known a couple of these cards, and it's a 1997. I gotta look this up because it's super rare. It's a 1997 Donruss Crusade Ken Griffey Jr. Red Refractor. It's a sample. So it's numbered to 25, but it closed on bids at $33,100, and this is with the eBay authenticity. So, anyways, it goes through the process and checks the whole box. Fast forward, the guy who spent $33,000 finally got this. Remember, there's only like 2 or 3 in existence of these cards, right? So the guy receives the card. It's in this flat little box.
No.
Right? And eBay puts this back blue end thing with these elastic bands to hold the card saver in place. They put a card saver
Oh my gosh.
in this blue thing, in this rubber band. So when he received the Ken Griffey Jr., the elastic was actually bending the
card.
Yeah, the card saver.
No way.
Yeah, at the corner, but you could see it. They kind of tilt it sideways because the elastic bands are kind of like diagonal from each other to hold it in place, almost
Right.
like a grade school picture photo, or one of those things where you stick the corner on the top left and then top bottom, and then it kind of stays in there. It's kind of like that. But he took pictures of the way he received it, and I'm just like, that is a $33,000 raw card. That this is the process that they received, And the reason why I bring up this nightmare is it wasn't the only one. There was also a Fleer Retro. I forgot who it was. It was a Marvel card that sold for $2,500. Same thing. It was outside of the card saver. So it was. I'm sorry. It was outside of the card saver and the penny sleeve. So the corner was just exposed, and the card was tilted sideways, obviously to avoid the last. That's what it looked like for at least my angle. But yeah, you could check all this out. It's freaking wild. But I believe the user for the $33,000 Ken Griffey Jr. You could check out his videos. It's Joey Peapod, Joey_Peapod on Instagram. And he's also on Blowout Forums. He has pictures of the way he received the Ken Griffey Jr. And honestly, I ship out slabs every day, and I protect the crap out of them. I'm telling you, I put extra void fill, and we're talking about $500 slabs, $1,000 slabs, $33,000 raw card in this little flat plastic or flat cardboard, mailer, and on top of that, the return address of exactly the address where high-end raw cards are shipping from. That's just theft waiting to happen. So all these things, I get why they did it, but when it's actually executed, there's a lot of red flags. So I'm just, that's what I've kind of noticed in my research. Like, I can't hate on it yet because we don't know where this is all going, right? But yeah, that's kind of my 2 pennies on this this thing.
Now I was gonna say I like it, but now
I like the idea, but like it gives you the peace of mind. But come on, like if you're trying to execute it, and now like think, okay, we opened up a new department in Florida. You'll be shipping out raw cards, and here's this 20-year-old kid who's looking for a job. He gets it because he gets that job, and he's shipping out $33,000 cards now. Who knows if that's the case or not? But that to me worries me, because if I'm buying from a true hobbyist, he knows already how to package it, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that it's going to a third party and then third party ships it out, like it's just an extra step in the process that really, really makes me nervous, right? So
yeah. I mean, you already addressed a lot of those concerns that I had, or that I've heard from other collectors, like with the extra hands, if it gets damaged, whose fault is it? Like, who pays for that, right? That's a big question. But yeah, I like the idea of it, to give the buyers assurance that it's a real card. And I guess it's a service that eBay thought of offering because a lot of people do sell raw cards on the marketplace, right? So there's definitely a need. For me, I look at it the other way. Like, as a seller, as a new seller, it might be better for you, right? If you have low ratings, like, people might not be as hesitant now with this kind of program to buy raw cards
Right.
if there's this eBay authentication process. So as a newer seller, there's definitely a pro, but maybe it's just a matter of, making the execution is better, right? Maybe we put in a box with filler and make sure it's packaged nice and tight, and then that'll allay some of the
I honestly
worries.
Honestly don't know what eBay was thinking. And you know what? I use eBay, so I can't dog them, but to sell my slabs, obviously. But in terms of packaging, I actually have a packaging background in the real world.
Right.
So like I deal with I guess I dealt with a lot of expensive packaging, how to protect, making sure whether it's computer parts or whatever, right? So yeah, you guys just take a look at this packaging. It is amateur hour, to the max. Like we're talking about what are you thinking? Like we're talking penny sleeve of raw card into
Single card saver.
a card saver.
Yeah, that's
you,
crazy.
You put a team bag
Flimsy.
in that card saver, and then you put it like it's a plaque or an award in a little paper slit, right? Or like that elastic. It's nuts. And then the flatness of the package, like that boggles my mind. So I just think there needs to be changes in that aspect where, hey, take a look at your packaging and realize, hey, this is the wrong way to do it, period. No, if I received a card like that in the mail, I'm contacting the guy I bought it from. And rightfully so.
Course.
If I ship somebody that card, I deserve to get contacted. That's all I'm saying, right? So I guess being used to it in the hobby as opposed to, okay, now that big money's in, this is corporate, right? So
yeah. I'm shocked that eBay wouldn't do their research to know this is what the hobby likes, or these, be a little bit more aware of the community and how the shipping and packaging works. Because if you have any awareness at all, like even if we were on a couple of Facebook groups and we're completely brand new to the hobby space and you just literally ask a simple question like, hey, how do you guys package? Tons of people are going to be like, boom, boom, this, bubble mailer, wrap it in this, like there's lots of ways to do it. Like it's very easy to be in tune with the hobby and what the hobby likes and how they like to receive their cards and how they like it protected. So I'm surprised that either they chose to ignore that or they just didn't do any kind of research or anything to be in tune with the hobby, right? So
I'm going to choose B. They did absolutely zero research in that area.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think they're growing into it. Like, eBay is a marketplace for not just cards, right? For a million other things. So maybe they see this, this is a growing segment of our business. And maybe once they really realize that they're still the number one marketplace, whether you like it or not, they'll put some more resources into, this trading card business.
Right.
So we'll see.
1 step forward, 2 steps back, or 2 steps back, 1 step forward. What's something like that?
So for us, the lesson is just ship graded cards.
Ship grading cards. Yeah, exactly.
All right, before moving along then to our next segment, on the topic of authentication, there was a sale of a PSA genuine graded card of the iconic T206 Honus Wagner for a mere $475,000 at SCP auctions. And you might be asking why so cheap? Because the catch is that the card was literally torn in half. So I'm not sure what to think of this, honestly, but what do you guys think?
This is the physical manifestation of fractional shares, right? So it's worth half of it. So somebody wanted half a card. They couldn't afford the full amount. They got half a card. It's the physical manifestation. I think it's wild. I think it's crazy. That card, you could barely see his face. Part of his face is ripped off. It's crazy that, well, it's the first card that I think sold under $1 million post-COVID. So I think it's pretty crazy that, somebody actually got that much, to be honest. That's wild. But it just shows you how rare the card is. Like you can't try buying one now.
Right.
And
I think it also shows you that if one of these big boy Honus Wagners pop up, I think we've got our first $10 million card, right?
For sure.
Right.
Last
We
one
talked
was
about
at
that,
6.6, right?
Yeah.
Well,
And that
that's
was
not if
SGC3.
that's not if a modern card like the I guess a stupid modern card that goes for 10 mil. That's what we were saying
Yeah.
before, right?
Right.
Yeah.
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 I think you
it's
might
pretty
be right
crazy.
there, John.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
baby.
of our previous pick ones. I think you're on to something.
Yeah. You know what? You know what's weird? After I was staring at that card for a bit and just being in awe of the how it sold for $500,000, I actually surprisingly I actually like that card. I don't know. There's just something about it, even though it's ripped in half. It's not like it looks like it was probably torn long time ago, like back in the day when it first came out. So it's got a lot of like wear and tear, and there's a lot of character in that card. I don't know. It's just one of those like I stare at it and it looks like a character card, and I'm like, hey man, the character is a part of the nostalgia or the story behind the card. I don't know. For some reason, normally I'm totally like a PSA 10. Everything's got to be minty. But I was just looking at
That's
the
far
card,
from
like,
a PSA 10.
Yeah. I for some reason I didn't mind it at all. I actually thought it was pretty cool.
Here's a quick pick one for you guys. $475,000 Honus Wagner ripped in half, or $475,000 Jason Dominguez Superfractor. If you want to pick,
Sold on Golden, right?
Yeah.
For that much.
For that much. So
Honus Wagner, no
That's
issues.
crazy.
Honus Wagner all day, man.
yeah, I know, that's crazy.
The Dominguez is the crazier one.
Yeah,
I go for Dominguez.
I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, you know what? That could actually go up a lot in value. You know, you just never
Yeah.
know
What?
with Dominguez, right?
Clark, the most
Or-
conservative of the three, going for the Dominguez.
No, you know what? For me, it's about the look of the card. Like it's shiny.
You're getting a full.
It's
You're
the
getting a
one of
full.
one.
You're getting a full
You get
one,
the-
not half of one.
I can see Dominguez's full head in the photo.
Yeah, that's funny.
But you're right. It could go to zero.
Right.
He's never played a major league game, right? And a lot can happen from now until then. But yeah, I like the potential, obviously. But yeah, that for me, the Honus Wagner cut in half. Yeah, that's crazy
just
money
crazy,
for
yeah.
that. For that.
Crazy.
You know, maybe $100K. You know, that would be crazy too. But like $500,000. Oh man, like that goes to show. The market for super high end cards is healthy still.
Absolutely.
You know, it's recession proof, 100%.
Right.
100%.
Specifically that card. Like that's how amongst
grail
the
card, right?
high end
It's a grail
collectors.
card.
Yeah, they don't care what condition it comes in. Like they just want it.
True. Obviously true.
Obviously true. Yeah.
Okay, that was fun. Let's move on now then to hobby headlines. I'm sure you guys already heard this story as well, but the big chase in this year's Panini Flawless Basketball is the one-of-one LeBron James triple Logoman card. And it features his jerseys wherein he played for the Cavs, the Heat, and the Lakers. So all three of the teams that he's played for.
Wow.
And there's been a bounty put on it by Jared Blesnick, who's this high-end sports card investor, for $1 million. Now, before I get into what I really want to discuss for this segment, I want to ask you guys, if you pulled that card, would you sell it for $1 million to Blesnick?
Well, that's the bounty, isn't it? That's just
Yeah,
the bounty.
yeah. So would you...
Yeah.
Wait,
100%. No. For me, no question. I would.
Okay.
If I pull that thing, yeah, I'm selling it right away. You know what? I heard
Knowing
the
that
story.
yeah, sorry, go.
I heard the story. I had no idea it was a triple Logoman from the three teams. That's pretty crazy. I thought it was just a normal, like Lakers Logoman. I was like, oh, why does he have a bounty on a Lakers Logoman? That's pretty
triple
wild
Logoman.
though. Triple Logoman, all game worn. I'm assuming because they're all game worn, right?
think so.
Wow,
Knowing
that's
that there's
crazy.
$1 million bounty, I would sell it to him for 1.5.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But hey,
Yeah.
oh, hang on, wait. How much is this Mr. Blesnick worth? I hope it's more than 1 million. Cuz
No, he's a big deal.
okay, yeah.
He's a,
So
Isn't he
that-
like a high roller in like the casinos too?
he's a pro or a former pro poker player. who's
Okay,
won a
yeah.
lot
So
there.
that's why I'm telling you, money when you play at that level, it's a different game. The mindset's totally different. Like we could say that's crazy, $1 million for a card. It's like they're saying $1 million only. Like this is a one of one. It's going to be 5, right? And for us, we laugh at that. we laugh at that because it never makes sense for us. It's like, what? Like, we're here hustling, trying to make a living, and here, but that's the whole point. We're playing at a whole different level when it comes to the high end market, right? And that's why I don't think we realize, is it crazy? Absolutely. To us. Is it crazy to them? Absolutely not, because to them that's what they do. They have the capital to literally just drop, because to them that's a great investment. It's more of a PC or an investment type, and there's only one in the world, right? So I could see extreme value, right. And it being a cheap purchase, even though it sounds crazy and stupid. But we've seen the market do stupid and crazy things, right? So, if a gold 2021 Prism LeBron's going for, I don't know what that was. It was it a couple $100K or 400K? I forgot it was
somewhere there.
Yeah, $1 million bounty on a 101 Logoman. I think it's a deal.
That being said, I think I would also sell it for 1 million, like out of convenience. Like, I'm not at that level, and for me, like, I'll take the quick
to find
cash.
the buyer.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not even an autograph card, and this is actually a good segue into what I really wanted to talk about. Is that, do you think there will always be a super high premium paid for cards with any Logoman patch on it? Because it doesn't really appeal to me personally that much, but it looks like there are definitely collectors who value the Logoman as a super chase card, right? The LeBron card is obviously a little different because it's LeBron and it's a 1/1, and there are 3 Logomans on it, so that makes it definitely more unique. But generally speaking, do you think there will always be a high premium put on cards with the Logoman patch, or do you think it's kind of gimmicky and it might lose its value later on? It's just popular now.
The Logoman brand is a little different, I think. As long as Panini doesn't print, which they probably won't because they're running out of cards to print after 2024, I guess, or is it sooner? So it depends on the next couple of years of how many Logomans they end up releasing, right? Different variations, right, where it's accessible, right? So I think, we'll see. It's pretty crazy, but I like the Logoman. I think there's a lot of appeal to it, and especially at like a 1/1. Like, I mean, where else are you gonna find that, right? So it's like history repeats itself. There's strong sales to prove that those Logoman do sell, right? So, whether it's without an auto, this one's without an auto, right?
Without.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But isn't the Logoman on every uniform? Is that where they get it from? I'm not sure.
It is.
Right?
It's on every uniform.
Okay, so isn't there...
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure too. Isn't there like a possibility that if they wanted to, they cut out more of these Logomans? Like, I don't know what the logistics is of getting patches like that, but isn't there a possibility of that? Like, I don't see anything stopping them from doing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all depending on the manufacturer, right? How they basically produce it and how exclusive they keep it. The only reason why it's worth that much is because the rarity, right?
Exactly.
So, as long as they keep it that way, I don't see why not, right? Especially think there's no more Prism, or there's no more Panini, right? And we look back in time 10 years from now, hey, who knows, right? People would be like, damn, that was a steal.
Yeah,
maybe.
I personally I love the Logoman. I think it flawless did like an absolute banger of a job with these Logoman. I mean, the OG is the upper deck, but like flawless with that white background and then that iconic like red, white, and blue color that just pops. I honestly, without looking at price and rarity, I love that card. I would love to have one, but in terms of long term, I don't know. It's kind of on the same lines of like Color Blast, right? Like, when does it stop? There's going to be a LeBron Logoman this year. There's going to be another one next year. There's going to be another one next year. By 20 years from now, there's going to be 25, LeBron Logoman. Are they really going to be that crazy valuable? I don't know. Maybe they will be because people in the high end space really want it. It's tough to say, but I don't know, man. As of right now, it's up and popping. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's why I asked the question. Like, I think right now it's hot, but I'm not 100% sure it'll stay hot over
Right.
the, the next sets that get released. And, even when Fanatics takes over, like, they have access to a lot of merch too, right? And, I could see the temptation being there for Fanatics to maybe issue a few more Logoman cards, and then that obviously devalues
That will
the
kill
whole,
it. Yeah. That will
the
kill
whole
it
thing,
completely.
Right.
So I'm nervous about that. I'm not willing to pay a high premium, but I know I'm probably not in the majority right now within high end collectors. So I wanted to throw out to you guys other cards with special features, and you tell me if you think there will always be a high premium for those cards, or again, if it's a gimmick that just happens to be popular now and you can see it fade over time. So staying on the patch theme, what do you think of the logo patch of team uniforms on cards? So it has, for if it was a Steph Curry patch card, it's the one with the bridge, and you see it, it's a team logo.
Yeah. Sick. I love it.
Underrated.
Okay.
Yeah, so underrated.
Yeah,
I
love
think patches in general are so underrated. I think they should be worth more, to be honest, right? But if they're producing multiples, then off just the random thread, then it's different. But if they're actually using a game memorabilia, amazing.
Yeah. Team logo
I guess
patch, thumbs up for sure.
Okay. So it's kind of the same thing applies with the Logoman. Okay, how about the corporate logo patch?
I'm a fan.
The Nike. Okay.
I'm a fan.
Oh, I love it.
Same reason?
Thumbs
Yeah.
up. Same thing. Thumbs up.
Huge
I
fan.
love it.
All right, so that's easy. I guess I'm like on the other end. Like, if you're not into the Logoman, then you're kind of probably not into the
Right.
corporate logo.
I could see that. Yeah.
Team logo. So I guess I'm on that end. So that makes sense. All right.
Wait, Clark. So what do you like?
He
You
likes
like the
he
white-
likes he likes
the white
laundry
napkin?
tag. The laundry tag patch cards that we're gonna talk about.
Yes, I do like the white laundry cloth patch. No, actually, yeah, the laundry tag patch. Let's talk about that. You guys love that too? Come
Thumbs
on.
down. Thumbs
You know
down.
what? I know you guys don't like it.
That's the line where John draws. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm personally not a fan of it. Right? I think it's gimmicky, but
Yeah.
think of it. It's colorful. There's a lot of eye appeal. So I think it's kind of like the poor man's like alternative. You know what I mean? It's like
it is.
Yeah, it is. It is
for sure.
because it's like you're used to like crappy patches, and then it's like multicolor laundry tag patch. You're like kind of like, okay, this is something, right? So I could see the appeal that it has.
Sure.
So. But I'm not.
I
way
mean,
of putting it.
okay. I'll put it this way. I'll take that over like a two color patch, like something
Right.
that's pretty normal.
boring. Yeah.
I'll still
two
take the
lines.
laundry tag. That for sure. Did you guys see? And I don't know if this is real. I saw it on somebody's Instagram account. Maybe it was card porn, but it was I think it was Justin Herbert. Hat, like a hat laundry tag, one of one. But when you look at the laundry tag, it says women's on it.
Come on.
Yeah.
No way.
I
see
could like
that.
so you gotta someone's gotta verify
No.
if that was like a real post.
Oh
but
my god.
yeah, like I remember seeing that. I was like, what?
You know what?
That's crazy.
That would be worth something to me. I would love that one. That's a good story to tell. That's hilarious. I gotta look that up. All right, John, you had a couple of ones that I thought was good to throw out too. The cards with the gems or the diamonds, those tiny diamonds. What are those called? I can't even remember. It's by Panini.
It's just I think there's just the flawless, right?
Flawless,
like flawless gems or flawless.
Okay, emerald
Yeah,
or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I think they have emeralds and rubies and
An actual diamond.
actual
Diamond
diamonds.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
certified.
those, yeah. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, you know when you open the flawless case, there's always one that has like the diamond.
Yeah.
Nothing else though. No autos. It's just the drawing, like
Yeah.
their photo on their classic white Panini stock and a small diamond.
And then they have the one of one Logoman with like the 30 diamonds on it.
Yeah.
right. So
it's like bejeweled or bedazzled that
Exactly.
yeah.
putting your little emeralds and whatnot.
So what? Yeah, you guys paying a premium for those cards?
No.
I'm not personally. Yeah, or even those bars.
Yeah.
I'd rather just
Big
yeah.
thumbs
Gold
down
bars.
for me. It's just
Yeah,
so unbelievably gimmicky.
it makes no
Zero
sense.
interest, zero
You're taking
interest.
something of value in a totally different way and trying to justify that same value into
like
higher
a sports
value.
card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, it's like this shouldn't be worth more than the actual gold or silver that's in there.
Right.
So it's just tough. It's a tough one for me.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a story behind it, like it's a baseball player's ex-wife's diamond or something, they jammed it in there. Like,
Yeah, that'll be worth something.
see, there you go. Like, if there's a story behind it, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But just like a random diamond into like a sports card, it's really weird.
Right. So I think we're all aligned on that. That's super gimmicky. All right, and just to kind of pivot a little bit, this is different from the patch or relics. And I think we talked about this before in a previous episode, but I want to bring it back. Serial number on cards that happen to be the jersey number of the player. We see a premium on those cards.
I
What do you
like
guys
it.
think?
I like
Thumbs
it.
up.
Thumbs up.
I like
Yeah,
it.
Both of you
100%.
guys, eh?
And
Yeah.
the crazy thing is, like, I wouldn't personally pay a crazy premium, but I think it's there's some definite appeal to jersey number cards. I think it brings a lot of attention as well. And even Beckett, remember we talked about this. They actually designated, I believe, it was a Boba
Boba
Fett.
Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it said
remember.
jersey number in the description, which is crazy.
Right.
It's like that they've never done that, but for Beckett to inscribe that in their slab,
True.
which is pretty rad. But I'm for jersey number cards, 100%. It's just as long as they don't change the jersey number.
Right. Yeah.
If
But,
I
go ahead.
if I had an RPA choice between like a BGS 9 but a BGS 8 was the jersey number, for me I choose the BGS 8 with the jersey number.
Really?
Yeah. I like it, man. I think there's just something, it's just a little bit, it's just unique amongst the pile of the set just to have the jersey number. I think I don't know. I really like it.
Okay, how about this? If they cost the same. So if BGS 9 of that card, but then there's a BGS 8 with the jersey number.
Yeah.
Still
Still
go
go
the
with
same.
No, that's
Still go with the
exactly
BGS.
what I'm saying.
Oh, I
Between
see,
if it was the same
I
price,
guess
sorry.
there
Got it.
I'm
there
taking
has
the
to be a
jersey number.
stipulation. The jersey number has to be popular. So if it's of some like no name guy,
Rando.
6.
yeah, like 6, but it was like that never really made a name for themselves. So like when we talk about like jersey number, we think of MJ 23. It's like boom, huge appeal because 23 is iconic, just the number itself, right?
Sure,
77, Luka Doncic, right? I know guys that sell slabs with the PSA numbers that end in 77 and they I'm dead serious. Go check out the Luka Doncic Facebook fan. These guys are nuts. These guys are justifying premiums on a PSA slab ending in 77, right? So there's that too.
Okay.
So yeah.
But like, where do you draw the line with players? Like, how about Anthony Davis, number 3? Do you care about that?
That's what I'm saying. It depends on how effective their number is, right? In popularity. For me,
Like, I had to look that up. I didn't know.
right?
what
You
Anthony
wouldn't
Davis's
you wouldn't
number
even
was,
know
right?
the jersey number sometimes of a hit, right? Until somebody tells you, right? But with MJ, you know. With Luka, you know,
course.
right?
Yeah.
Gretzky, you know,
Yeah.
right?
I think if it's for a big investment and it's a big player, I think it's worth it. And then from a collector standpoint, I think it's worth it. But somebody like AD, where his value right now is teetering, unless you're a big AD fan, like if I was I live in Los Angeles and I was a big Laker fan, AD's like my boy. I'll still probably do it. Like, yeah,
Okay.
I still think it's pretty cool. It's rare, it's unique. Yeah. Now, if it was like a BGS 10 versus like a BGS 9 with the jersey number, ooh, that might be a little tough. When we're talking about 10s, that's a little tough. But if
That's where the grading takes precedence.
I used
yeah.
8 and 9 on purpose because those are already kind of like low grades anyways, and at that point it's like,
Right.
okay, I'm taking the jersey number. That's kind of cool.
Okay. I'm not a huge, I don't really care that much about jersey number cards, but if I got a hit and it happens to be the jersey number,
you're marketing the crap out of that for sure.
Exactly. That thing is plastered on eBay. eBay 1 of 1.
Yeah.
100%. All right. So, well, ultimately, you know what? This is a lesson of the market is the market, right? So for me, it's interesting to see how things play out in the longer term. But at the end of the day, we always say this: collect what you love. If you think it's cool to have a laundry tack patch card, go for it by all means, right? If you think it's cool to have a diamond in your card, like, no judgment, go for it. It's just, not appealing to everyone. Okay, so let's end the show then with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. It's the hot takes edition this week, where we present 2 hobby hot takes and then we debate over which one we think is more likely to occur. But I want to start off this week with a regular Pick One sent to us by one of our podcast followers on Instagram. Shout out to Upstate Sports Cards. And he asked us, would you rather have one Joe Burrow Panini Prism Silver rookie card with PSA 10 or multiple Joe Burrow Optic Holo rookie cards, again PSA 10? So to give you some context, a Burrow Silver Prism is going for about $4K right now with a pop count of 113, just days before the Super Bowl. And an Optic Holo PSA 10 is going for a little over $1,000 with a pop count of about 250, right? So higher pop count for the Optic Holo, but a quarter of the price. So if you could get 4 of those instead of silver prism.
What was the pop count of the silver prism you said again? Sorry.
113 the last
113 versus 250.
Yeah.
Ooh, yikes. 4K. Jeez Louise, this prism's 4K silver?
Know,
that is nuts. Oh man.
It is low pop though, so you can understand why it's.
And he's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I still think it's overpriced, obviously, but man, this is a tough one, actually. I'm gonna still say, oh man,
It's tough. It's a great question.
it's tough because it's usually the other way around. You know what I mean? In terms of pop count, you're usually gonna get the rarity in optic hollows, right? So
That's
it's
right.
like, it's.
Did they print Prism less? Right? I feel like
Optic football
there's a pretty big retail presence with Optic, and I don't think Prism football may have come out in retail, but I don't think there was that much of a print run for a retail, right? Mm-hmm. Could be wrong. I don't know, but
I'm gonna go with the Optic Holo just because I can't justify that price for Burrow, right? And even $1,000 for a Holo is pretty relatively pricey, is what I'm saying for that sure. As well, right? So I don't think you're getting I wouldn't buy multiples of Joe Burrow. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I gotta say Optic Holo just because I can't justify that 4K price. It's not like it's a pop 50 where it's gonna sustain that price, right? I think as more cards are graded, you just never know, right? With that pop count as well. Yeah. So I'm over the past. You look at Optic Holo versus Prism in football in the past. I think print runs aren't high, anyways. So I think what you see is what you get with Burrow Holos right now. I don't think there's gonna be too many more, but I could see Prisms at that price point now reach in. Mm-hmm. You'll see some more pop out, right? So usually Optic is a lot lower. I'm surprised, right?
True.
So yeah.
Okay, Optic for Hyung.
I'm with Hyung. Like normally, I would like to wait a bit to kind of see the pop counts settle, maybe like a year from now or 2 years from now, because once the pop counts start to settle, we can now get into the analysis of looking at ratios, right? And if you can see, like it's been pretty regular that the Prism sells for 2x of Optic Holo, then you can have some more confidence of what's the buy here or what's not the buy here. But in any case, a guy like Joe Burrow or Luka or any of these sort of like main hot young studs, if one card goes up, they all go up. Like if his Prism is 3xing, his optic will 3x, his select will 3x. That's usually what happens. And in this case, to know that the holo is a quarter of the price, when usually holos are like 50, 60, 70% the price of a prism. Maybe a little different this year based on print runs. I don't know yet. So that's why I would rather kind of wait to see how it settles. But just knowing that it's only at 25% seems like the optic is the better opportunity. And then on top of that, to have 3 or 4 of them, maybe this doesn't apply to like a purely investor, but for myself, I know as a collector investor, it's great to have 2 of one card instead of 1 of another, because you're buying Joe Burrow because you really like him. You're not normally you're not buying Joe Burrow because you don't like him, but like, yeah, I think he's a good, there's obviously usually some sort of attachment. And if you have 2 of them, and if let's say Joe Burrow wins a Super Bowl, let's say he wins it again next year, let's say he wins it three in a row, and you think he's the greatest quarterback all time, you have 4 of them. Like you can keep 1 or 2 for yourself as a collection, and obviously it's the attachment wise, you have 2 or 3 others that you can sell to use that money to fund other purchases, right? So I think in terms of a collection wise, dude, it just gives you so much more flexibility. If you just had the silver, it's awesome. It's worth a lot of money, but maybe you might feel very, very hesitant to sell it when you should be selling it at a high. But if you have multiples of it, I think investment wise, it'll be a lot easier to detach away from some of those cards. So for those reasons, I pick holo.
Okay, good point. Man, yeah, you're right. What's throwing me for a loop is the pop count just being reversed for optic holo and silver prisms. Because I was just looking at Patrick Mahomes, 27 optic holo, with a pop count of 600 or so. And for silver prism, there's about 800. So there's more silver prisms. And in terms of the price, it's about 2x, right? 7,000 right now, at least, for a silver prism of Mahomes versus 3,500 for an optic holo. So to your point, John, it's 25% of the cost seems a bit low in terms of ratio.
Right.
But if you factor in the pop count, and let's assume that the pop count stays, ratio-wise the same, that silver prisms are still lower in pop count than optic holos, then I could see that there's a premium.
Right. The ratio will uphold itself, right? Like at 25%.
Exactly. So for that reason, and if like Burrow wins a Super Bowl and he has a great season next year and he wins another Super Bowl down the line in his career.
That's 2 hot takes and really hot takes in 3 minutes, guys, from both of you guys. The same hot take.
I guess this is a hot takes edition after all.
The Bengals win the Super Bowl 3 years in a row.
Coming from guys that were like, oh, Joe Burrow's out next week. All of a sudden we're talking about 2-3 Super Bowls.
The Bengals being in the Super Bowl is a hot take for the last 3 weeks, okay? And now it's happening. So how hot is it really?
Yeah, we're talking for years now. I love it.
But I'm playing the upside game, man. Like, I think in terms of value in the lower pop count, I think if Burrow has that kind of success, hot take, the prism, silver prism.
Oh, that's the card to have.
Count,
yeah, that's
going to be the card to have. 100%.
To the moon.
True.
Yeah.
It's the card.
So it's your risk. I think it's the safer play to go with optic holo, but
I will say this though, it's interesting because I remember I did have a silver Herbert earlier, and when his prices were bonkers, and the print runs are super low now that I think about it. They're super low on Prism football. At least I remembered with Justin Herbert. That's why his prices were crazy. So you wouldn't see anyone that exists. His PSE 10s are selling for like 3-4K at the time. And, PSA 9s are going for like 1,000, 1,300, 1,400. So I believe that it is a little short printed. So yeah, Clark, you might be onto something. But we already gave our answers, so.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? If these ratios uphold, let's say 25% is the ratio going forward, like for football for that year. If let's say the point I was trying to make before, if the silver prism goes to 12K and it 3x's, I'll bet you a lot of money the holo will go to 3K. It'll also 3x. So regardless, 4K here or 4K there, you're gonna have 12K at the end of it, right? But having the 4 hollows, I think, gives you the opportunity, kind of like,
cash out,
fractional ownership. You can cash out on some of it, right?
Right.
But I know that's just how I feel. I think if a player is hot enough, all of his main cards will X at the same rate for the most part, right? As long as the ratios kind of stay the same.
I can see that, sure. But man, the upside play of a Silver Prism is
yeah, I can't say against having the probably what's going to become the iconic card of Joe Burrow. So
right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, so we're split, but take it for what it is. Upstate Sports card. So I hope that helped answer your 1v1. All right, let's finish off this segment with your hot takes, hobby hot takes. Hyung, you want to share us yours?
Sure. I love graded, so I'm going back to the grading hot takes. So PSA 9s are underrated versus SGC 10s are underrated.
Okay.
I'm going with SGC 10s are underrated. And I know that's been sort of like this big thing. Everybody's been talking about SGC 10s have been underrated. And to be honest, it's a great 1v1 question because PSA 9s, a lot of people say are underrated as well. But more than the company, I think there's a thought that really scares me is that everybody is putting a ton of money into PSA 10s. Everyone is assuming that PSA 10s are going to stay rock solid forever, for a lifetime. What if all of a sudden the hobby changes and PSA is not the king 10 years from now? Like, what happens to all of these cards that you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on, right? So that's a scary thought, brand-wise. But I think for me, when I look at the evidence of grading and I look at SGC and why I think SGC is so underrated, obviously, number one, the values is like literally half of PSA 10s. It's probably growing a little bit to 60% right now. But when you watch things like, SGC reveals or people getting their grades back, you rarely see people in terms of eye test. So, obviously people who order cards, they're not professionals in any way, but there's some sort of eye test, right? Like, centering looks perfect. I don't see anything wrong with the corners. It looks like a great card. When you get SGC cards back, I've never really seen too many customers say, what? Like a 7? No, like, most of the time they're like, ooh, I remember sending this one in, kind of had a bit of a corner issue, and they flip it and it's an SGC 9.5. Okay, that makes, usually these customers are very satisfied because what they're kind of thinking in the cards or what they're hoping for, it kind of holds true, right? But with PSA, I just see so many inconsistencies. Like people would be like, yeah, I kind of just sent this one in. Oh, it's a PSA 10. Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know. Or like this one was like a banger card. Like for example, Hyung's Bowman First Red Pineda, right? Or is it Oscar Gonzalez? Yeah. And then like surface the great
7.
corners
PSA
are
7.
immaculate,
right.
And you're like PSA 7. Why? Like I don't know. But Hyung is not. That's not a random case. Like I've seen that with many people. Like I think this is a PSA 10. I'm at least a 9. I'm hoping for the 10, and you flip it, and it's like PSA 6. Like what? Like what are you talking about? Like I don't understand. So I think that eye test alone kind of shows me the consistency that SGC has, just from like if you collecting and you want to know like a good solid number for your grade, like a fair number, they just seem so much more consistent in their grading and a lot more thorough in their quality control process. So for that reason, I pick SGC being underrated. Value-wise, card grading-wise, all of the above.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like those reasons. For me, I'm going with SGC 10 as well. Like I personally, like the more I look at the SGC slabs, they're sweet. Like I've really grown into them, the look of it. And I don't know if it was you, Hyung, but you mentioned like you showed one of the Instagram posts where the gem rate for the 3 grading companies, like it's hard to get an SGC 10.
It is.
And that's like counterintuitive harder. because you would think PSA 10s are the ones that are the most difficult.
Right.
And, if it is in fact true that SGC 10s are more difficult to get that 10 grade, then right there, it's underrated because the value is there. And once people start to realize, SGC 10s are actually a little more rare than I thought. So, and to be honest, they're like, if they're not already, they're almost like the number 2 grading company. Like BGS is not doing anything these days. You don't hear about them. Yeah, nothing in the news about Beckett, or they're just going so slow that, they're just losing their market share day by day, right? So I think, for those reasons, I love SGC. PSA 9s, personally, I've been unloading all my PSA 9s. Like I thought, like I sold my Trae Young Silver Prism PSA 9 because that was tanking, and the whole basketball card market value is decreasing for sure. But in terms of what's tanking faster, in my opinion, it's the PSA 9s. Like because the PSA 10s are what people want, and they're becoming more affordable. So everyone's going for the PSA 10, and it devalues the PSA 9 even further. So it's this like endless cycle, and I think. PSA 9s I found a lot more value in when PSA 10 cards were a lot more expensive or valued a lot higher than it is now. Obviously, and now the gap's just closing between the two values of PSA 10, PSA 9. And, it's to the point where you're like, I just want to spend a couple extra $100 for PSA 10. I'll do that instead. Than buy a really cheap PSA 9. So for those reasons, SGC 10 being underrated, that's my choice.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of agree with you guys. One thing to keep in mind too is SGC 10s are considered gem mints. So when you do the conversion, we're talking BGS 95s, the equivalent of a SGC 10, and a PSA 10 would obviously be the equivalent because that's their gem mint, right? But a PSA 10 could also be a BGS 95 and vice versa. And a PSA 9 can also be a SGC 10. That's where it gets, it's all subjective, right? At that point. But I think BGS 1 doesn't get a lot of love because of the 9.5 as opposed to the 10, just psychologically, right? Even though they're the same grades, right? Because people just love those 10s, right? But yeah, I think SGC is super underrated. I think PSA 9s are underrated too because my old strategy used to be if I really liked the PSA 9, I'd crack it and submit it to BGS, right? Because I'm pretty sure that it'd be a 9.5, right? So I think PSA 9s are underrated. Obviously, without that service, you can't really do that, but SGC 10s are gem mint cards, and they're selling for sometimes 50% of PSA 10s. It just doesn't make sense, right? And most likely that's probably in better condition than the PSA 10, right? So, I say SGC 10s are super underrated, and I think we got to remember SGC is the king in vintage, right? Like they're the grading company that's one of the most respected grading companies throughout the age of cards, right? So they've been around and they just never got love because I think the tuxedo look wasn't for everybody until they kind of rebranded, and I guess now there's no options and they're saying, whoa, wait a minute, SGC is actually legit, right? And the question is, will they sell, right? And so as it takes time for that, obviously, but that's why we're talking about that they're underrated, right? Because right now, they're just way cheaper. For instance, I bought an SGC 10, one of those Max Verstappen Topps Chrome insert cards for like $130, right? And PSA 10s are like double. So for me, it's like, okay, I rather spend, it's the same grade. They're both gem mints considered. I rather spend half and get the card I like, and it's in an SGC slab that looks beautiful. So yeah, it's just a super underrated play, I think. And I'm waiting for values to go up on SGC. I think it's gonna come soon though.
Totally agree. Like, honestly, that's what I do with cards. If I look for a card that I like, PSA 10 first, see what the price value is. Too expensive? SGC 10. That's my second choice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've been doing that a lot lately, which is crazy.
Sure.
I thought I would never say that, but you know what?
It's crazy. Yeah.
The hobby changes.
Yep. Good one. All right, John, you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to go a buy low darling, 2 buy low darlings, 1v1 hot take. Ben Simmons before the end of the season, regular season and playoffs. Ben Simmons' value will 3x. versus Karl Anthony Towns, one of my personal darlings, will 3x before the end of the season. Now, obviously, Ben Simmons, there's some hype right now. He might go to the Nets, blah, blah, blah. And there's a good chance he can win the championship. Minnesota's been a bit of a surprise. Looks like they could make it into the playoffs. They're in line to be in that sort of make it playoff, the playoff tournament. So, they could surprise too, man. Their team is not too shabby. So hopefully they'll get out of the 7th or 8th seed so that they don't have to play one of the big boys up there. But yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I guess by the time this airs, we'll know what happens to Ben Simmons. So
for failure, boys.
You're setting yourself might be a really bad take.
There's some risk. There's some risk in the Ben Simmons pick for sure.
I'm gonna say he does go to the Nets. I think the Harden-Simmons trades happens. So right there, for that reason, Simmons is gonna 3x. Not 3x for sure, but the potential is better for him to 3x than Karl Anthony Towns, who, if he stays, he's a great player, but still gets no love in playing with the Timberwolves. And, Anthony Edwards kind of takes that shine a little bit too now. And, if I was going to look for a card to invest in between Ben Simmons and Cat, I'm going with Ben Simmons. That's the play.
John doesn't like that. But I will say, honestly, Karl Anthony Towns can average 25 points per game for the next 40 years, and he still will get no love. His prices still will not triple. I'm telling you, this guy is a beast, but his prices don't move. So it doesn't matter what he does. He's putting 25 points a game every season, for the last how many years. And
no respect.
Yeah, no absolutely respect. No respect. So in terms of your hot take, do I think, Cat is super underrated? Absolutely. I think he's a bot. You'd think keep buying all the cats you can until you run out of money, until you can't buy any more cats, right? That's the logic, because long term he's the right investment. In terms of 3x value, I agree with Clark, man. One move like this, and you know what? Ben Simmons, he's hungry, man. I'm telling you, if he pushes in a playoff run with his cards could take off
with KD. Oh man.
Yeah, I could see that actually happening, right? But I just don't see that with Cat. Cat could score 50 a night for the next 3 nights. Nobody will know who Cat is, right? So yeah, it's crazy. He gets no love. So I'd say Ben Simmons will 3x before the end of the season, which is a super hot take, though. Only as PSA 9s, though.
Nice, boys. No surprise, I'm going to pick Cat. I'm going down with the ship. But you know what? I will say this. I think the thing about 3xing is your mind has to change. You are the player. You are what you are. Change my mind. If you change my mind about who you are, I'm going all in, right? So for Ben Simmons, it's not that I don't think his value is going to go up. I think his value is probably already going up right now with just the rumor, right? You're selling the rumor, not the news. I think when he gets traded, if he does by the time this airs, and he's on the Nets, I think his card will 2x immediately. But 3x is a different story, because when he gets on that court and he's sharing the ball with Kyrie and Durant, we're going to probably see the same Ben Simmons. He's going to go 1 for 9 from the field, 6 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. He will still be a really good player, but we don't know what kind of shape.
Not a really good player.
Those
in
stats
terms of
don't make him a good player.
But we don't know what kind of condition he's in. Is he in game shape? We don't know. Is he gonna immediately gel with these guys after being this sourpuss for the last 6 months? We don't know any of that. But in terms of card value, I do strongly believe it's a play that his card will probably 2x by next week. But for Karl Anthony, I don't think it might 3x. But somebody like Karl Anthony Towns, it's all about team success. If they can get out of the first round, let's say they topple the Suns or something, and they go to the finals, they go to the Western Conference Finals. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It could happen. you're going to see Ants cards go crazy, and you're probably going to see Karl Anthony Town cards start to hit a new floor. It's not just this false hype, 2x, 3x with Ben Simmons. So
Minnesota's
for those reasons,
lining up with Phoenix there, eh?
Right now they are State. Right.
Yeah.
Right now they're lining up. So hopefully they don't. But I'm just gonna go the other way for that reason. I think I agree with you guys. I think Ben Simmons cards are gonna go up here, but I don't know if it's enough once he's on the court for people to be like, oh yeah, he's averaging 30, 10, and 10. Like I don't think we're gonna see that. So for that reason, I think it's safer bet to go with Karl Anthony Towns and bet the other way, because I think your money's safer there. I think it can go up, and I'm not sure if you'll lose money like you might with Ben Simmons.
All right, we learned that John's going down with the ship, and he's about to lose a lot of money if he stays on course.
So. If you guys need any cat, you know where to find.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, that was another fun episode, and thank you to all our listeners and subscribers and followers of our podcast. If you haven't already, please follow us on Instagram at Cards to the Moon, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, and give us 5 stars if you enjoyed the show. We really appreciate it. And just like Upstate Sports Cards did, if you want to give us a 1v1 or pick one of your own that you want us to debate on the show, it'll be fun for us to do that too, like today's Joe Burrow 1v1. That was a hard one, so we appreciate that as well. All right, guys, we have new shows every Tuesday, so we'll see you again next week. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU@Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.